Daily Bread. Today the Lord is speaking to all of us that when we are involved in a lot of spiritual battles, okay, dealing with very dark and supernatural powers of the enemy, definitely there will be this fear in us that what if the enemy is so powerful, might attack you a lot at a very intense level, and what is your situation at that time? Maybe you're all are afraid of it, and really needs that high level protection from the Lord also against the enemy, so that you'll be protected. This is a rule that most of the people neglect, and when you understand this rule, you'll not be fooled by the enemy or not be afraid of his attacks anymore, because the rule is that this high level protection from the Lord against the enemy comes only when we are in God's will and doing God's works. Okay, this is where you get the protection, because when you demand a lot of high level protection around you or your family or your everything that you have, definitely the Lord also requires something in return from you, and that is that your sacrifice, your determination to do his works, to be in his will. That is what the Lord sees, and when he's really happy and glad about and satisfied by the way you live, by the way you're determined to do his works, and also being fruitful also, and being very much engaging in God's works, and accepting his will in your life, that is when the Lord gives you protection. And this is the thing that most people do not consider, and even if they know, they do not want to give it in, like they do not want to sacrifice, or they do not want to involve in doing God's works, and that is where they are mistaken. And this is the basic rule that you can follow to get protection from the Lord against the enemy, is that as long as you're doing God's work and as long as you're in God's will, your protection is guaranteed and you're not needed to afraid of the enemy. But the moment you slip out of the way, that is when you become vulnerable to the enemy, and the enemy will have all the opportunities to attack you and destroy you from the root levels. So understand this basic rule, and don't be afraid of the enemy as long as you're in God's will and doing God's work. I pray that lead you and encourage you. Amen.